Yo, what's up, guys? I'm Dan. I'm back with another craft brew review. Founders, Michigan. Again, my favorite state, guys. Michigan. You might have heard of this one. Canadian Breakfast Stout. I've heard of it. Imperial Stout brewed with chocolate and coffee, aged in maple syrup bourbon barrels. 11.6% alcohol by volume. Part of their bourbon barrel age series, guys. It's usually the last one that caps off the year. They've got plenty of bourbon barrel aged experience, but this one, the most highly sought after. No secret there. So these are always hyped up majorly in a huge way. Last year, I actually just tasted the 2017 version last night. Broke it down with my buddy. And, it's good. They're really, really good. But I don't know what to expect this year. I don't know if it's going to be more of the same thing, or is there going to be kind of new factors that come into play, and a lot of different things that'll change from last year. I'm not sure, guys. But I do know that this one, people chase. People always chase CBS, guys. It's only been out a few times. Just happens to be out last year and again this year. So I'm fortunate enough in Michigan to get my hands on this stuff. People always trade. People spend big money to get stuff like this. And shit, guys, it's a beast. I mean, people want this like crazy. Everybody likes KBS, and of course, the harder grandfather to find, CBS. Let's look no further. We're going in all the way. Let's see what we're working with, boys. From the neck. Coffee. We're getting a ton of coffee. Maybe a little bit of chocolate, hint of vanilla. But coffee right out of the neck. As far as I know, guys, this is still being sold for about $24.99 in Michigan. The funny thing is, everybody thinks these are hard to get, but actually, they're widely accessible. In Michigan, at least. And I think they distribute quite a bit, too, so there's a lot of it everywhere. But everybody likes to get this stuff. We'll top her off. I didn't pour very aggressive. Kind of a small head here, guys. Quarter finger. It's looking very mocha-like. Caramel. Dark brown. Dark khaki. Everything's faded for the most part in the middle. Man, I got a huge head on the one last night. I don't think I'm pouring correct tonight, guys. But because I remember having a huge head on this, at least last night. So I don't think I poured correct for the stout today. But anyways, I'm getting that dark caramel mocha, and I just reviewed another bourbon barrel aged. Kind of the same look, but this one's got that outer ring of dark brown khaki kind of thing going on. Bad lighting, but she's got pretty dark. Yeah, I would say it's pretty much all the way black, guys. You're not seeing through this aroma. Okay, so I'm getting a vanilla, but the predominant thing sticking out in this year's coffee. I don't recall this coffee. Maybe the coffee from last year subsided. I didn't review last year for YouTube, but I did have it. I don't recall coffee being a main component like this one. But there's still that vanilla. I get a lot of vanilla in there. A little bit of chocolate. A little roasted malt. But other than that, that's about it, guys. Highly sought after CBS. Cheers, guys. The mouth feels just about there. I would say it's a hint light. But that is actually a component that could possibly make it more drinkable, so maybe I won't ding it for that. It's a tough one. Very delicious. But there's a ton of coffee in this, and if you ask me, maybe a hint too much of coffee, guys. If I did a blind taste and I had a sip of this, I most likely wouldn't freak out about it. I just did the Bell's Bourbon Barrel Aged Expedition Stout. That blew me away, guys. It blew me away with simplicity and execution. Well done. This is a little bit overwhelming. I would say there's always a lot of hype behind CBS, but don't get me wrong, it's very, very tasty. It's good. And I think I need to let it warm up a little bit more also. It could be a component playing here, guys. But I think that this has a hint too much coffee, that it's kind of, it's dragging you away from the other layers and components in this thing because it's kind of overshadowing the rest of it. It's kind of just laying out there too heavily. Mouthfeel is just about right. Hint light. The vanilla, hint of maple, not really, it's not crazy, but okay, so that would be my difference between last night and today. Is the one last night was just so syrupy and sweet that I couldn't, it was hard to get through it. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but it's just, it becomes a sludge bomb that is a sweet sludge bomb that you're almost choking it down by the time you get halfway through it. It just becomes unenjoyable at a certain point because your palate's bombarded with, with sweetness, vanilla, bourbon, and chocolates, which I prefer the chocolatiness and that bourbon barrel aging in there, but you know what I don't like is that overwhelming amount of sweetness. I will say that this one, in my opinion, is more drinkable than the 2017 version. The bourbon barrel age is showing pretty nicely, and again, you do get that nice vanilla in the backbone there. And there are some complex dark chocolates in there, maybe some other kinds of chocolates. But again, the coffee, for me, is a little bit too heavy. If I want a coffee stout, there's plenty of them I could go out and get, especially this time of the year. But this, in my opinion, is not a 5 beer. I think there's a little bit too much hype behind CBS. I'm not super willing to go $24.99 and buy these all the time when they're coming out. I mean, of course, it's CBS. I gotta get it. It's just one of those beers, guys, because I don't know. It might not be out next year. It wasn't out for many, many years, and then they just hit us with this 2-year span where it's just been out. So, I probably give it a 4.25. It's very good. The only thing is the coffee for me is kind of bouncing it out of balance. It is pretty drinkable, I would say. And the sweetness is just about right for me. I like how the bourbon barrel age is showing. Very, very nice. My only complaint is that it's a little bit too heavy on the coffee. But other than that, guys, this is a very, very nicely done bourbon barrel aged stout. These guys know what they're doing. They always do, and they have a heck of a series, and they cap it off with the king. So, yeah, I'm just going to leave it there, guys. CBS is awesome. Again, for me, just a little bit too much coffee and a little bit too much overhyped business going on with Founders. But, hey, guys, I live in a great place. I have access to great beers. We're splitting hairs here. Cheers, guys. Get your hands on it if you can. Looking at about $24.99, probably a little bit more if you're on the West Coast, South, or East Coast, wherever you are. Michigan, $24.99. I will be sharing this one tonight, guys. Cheers. See you on the next one.